Good morning. I'm Mark Allen with Gaber.io, and I'm here today with Bethany Plaza, a serial entrepreneur in the tech space, currently working for Bethany J. Plaza, LLC. Good afternoon, Bethany. How you doing?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for joining us today. So to start with, can you share a brief background of yourself and your work experience?
Sure. I've owned and sold about 5 companies, varying industries. For the past 25 years, I've been in the technology arena and recently sold one of my IT services firms back in 2018 to a publicly traded firm.
Very good. So you've actually had 5 different companies that you founded?
Yes. Yes.
Well, that's quite impressive. So
I'm still alive. That's what's impressive.
I know. I'm sure you've had a lot of long days, correct?
Oh, yes. Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes. So what has been your experience with remote employment, both as an employee, probably what you haven't done, and as an employer?
So when you ask that question, do you mean more how have I appreciated the experience, or how's it come back? What are you trying to get at exactly?
I think just your general thoughts on remote work. I'm assuming you've been the employer since you've started 5 companies.
Yeah.
So your thoughts on remote work.
I think remote work is a great way to go. It's really functioned well for me and my teams over the years. Someone just referred to me yesterday as a people magnet, which that could be good or bad, but I think that I tend to accomplish more myself personally when I work remote. And for the past decade or more, I've employed global remote workers.
Oh, wow. So, and I'm assuming you're home now, is that correct?
Yes, indeedy.
Yes. So, and all 5 of your companies, were all of them, did they accept remote workers, or did it kind of gradually?
No, actually, I didn't accept remote workers until I started my IT services firm. Before that, they were more service oriented. So we didn't really have an option to not be on site.
I see. So what do you think is the future of remote employment, and what do you think can be done differently to make it more effective?
Well, I guess that's kind of a loaded question right now because of COVID-19. We don't know what way it's going to go, but I definitely think that this experience for us all has broken down some resistance to remote work.
Yes.
It doesn't appear that these COVID risks are going to go away, for a while. So I believe we're going to continue to use remote work, probably pretty long term, and probably by a good portion of companies. I think that there's still going to be companies that perhaps have to have people on site. Obviously, our retail, the grocery stores and things, it's not going to be an option for them. But I think we're going to see more and more people adopt it. Your question, what do I think needs to be done differently?
Or what could make it more effective?
Well, I definitely think the use of technology is something. I think that if we've learned nothing else in this past year, it's that digital transformation was broken and it needed to be mended. But the other thing besides technology, I think, is that managers really need to be taught how to lead in a remote environment, because it is a different style and a different set of qualities that are needed. Yes. And I believe that we'll continue to rely really heavily on collaboration and communication tools.
Yeah, and I believe that there are a lot of companies that are building those tools as we speak. I would imagine, some of them are in alpha and beta. I would expect them to become GA sometime next year.
Yes, I agree.
And maybe that could be your next startup.
Who knows? Who knows? Maybe I could compete with Zoom.
There we go. That would be, if you could do that.
That would be phenomenal. Man, I have a lot of respect for the guy.
Yeah. Well, especially that, when you notice, back in March, they didn't seem to miss a beat. They had already, I don't think they expected this, but I have yet to see any problems with it. Have you?
No, I love it. I use Zoom probably 8 out of 10 hours a day.
Yeah, I'm not quite there, but I'm probably more than most.
Although my eyes have definitely lost the battle.
I know.
At this point.
Well, I actually change my background every week just so I don't have the same background, right?
Good for you. I end up playing YouTube videos so I can hear the beach crashing. So I think I'm somewhere else.
Oh, that's nice. I have to try that. I play golf videos on YouTube, so not quite the same. It's just also a very soothing sound for me. So what is the story behind Bethany J. Plaza, LLC? What do you do? How do you help people? All those things.
Well, I think that one of the things that I've really enjoyed about owning different companies is the strategy and the building of it. And I've learned so many lessons along the way.
Mhm.
And I've been kind of a go-to for other startup companies. So I figured that with my experience, I could bring to the table, I guess, skills and experience that would help other companies, other businesses that are not only in the startup phase, but continuing to grow even up to the Fortune 500 level. So I decided that I would monetize it so that I could actually use my skills and all the lessons that I've learned to benefit others.
And like if there's one piece of advice you could give to a tech startup, what would it be?
Oh my gosh.
I know there's a lot.
There's such a long list, and that's what I guess the biggest thing is don't be afraid to fail.
Mhm.
Just use your failures as an opportunity to learn and grow. That's the absolute probably biggest lesson, because we can beat ourselves up so much, but
Mhm.
so many people, especially in technology, they have the great tech skills, but they don't have all the business skills. And so there's a really steep learning curve. And also don't be afraid to reach out to others who might be smarter than you. It's
Yes.
okay. Or maybe they've been there, done that.
Mhm.
That's the best way you can grow.
Yes, no, I agree. I think I would say along those lines is just do it. Get the product out there. Doesn't have to be perfect. I think techies are more like that. Oh, I gotta have the coolest piece of software. And it doesn't have to be for the masses. It's got to be functional
Absolutely.
and provide value.
Mm-hmm.
So the current situation we've touched on a little bit. The pandemic caused all companies to go remote. I'm assuming you're a solopreneur. Is that correct, or do you have people that work for you?
I do have some that work for me right now. This is probably the company that I have right now is probably the lowest number of employees right now.
And I mean, did the pandemic cause any challenges or roadblocks that you didn't expect?
No, because I really started working remote a long time ago, so I've kind of already hashed out a lot of the challenge areas.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was not a really rough transition.
And do you stay in touch with any of the previous companies that you started?
Absolutely, I believe that everything in business is about networking and bringing your best every day, whether you own it or not.
Mm-hmm.
So I always stay in touch.
Mm-hmm. And have any of them, did the pandemic cause any unusual challenges for those older companies? I shouldn't say older, but you know what I mean.
Well, yeah, I think any of the service oriented ones were certainly affected, because they had to figure out how to shift, and how to protect the workers, so there were other labor category risks and that type of thing. So they've certainly had that challenge. I think I've seen a learning curve of a lot of companies though right now, and some are still really, really struggling.
Yeah, no, I do. And some have actually skyrocketed. The pandemic actually was a good thing for their business just by the nature of their business. I've actually interviewed a few of them, and that's their challenge now is I got to hire people really fast.
Yeah, and I'm seeing that, and we kind of predicted that earlier in the year, that's the way it was going to be. But I am truly a person that believes that challenges create opportunities. I don't think I've ever had a company or a situation in life where I wasn't like rocked up against the wall, my throat, and it's like, okay, how do I get out of this mess? So yeah. I think it breeds innovation. Truthfully,
right? It does, and actually, a few of them. I don't know if you've read the book Blitzscaling. I think it's by Reid Hoffman.
No, I haven't.
It's actually a pretty good book, especially for people that all of a sudden your product just takes off more than you expect. And basically his philosophy is embrace it, right?
Yep, absolutely. It's interesting because more and more of the clients that I'm talking to are experiencing that. And they're like, I don't even have a clue how to scale this fast.
Right.
So it's fun for me.
Yes. Well, it's called 16 to 18 hour days, and
yep.
Just get up every morning and do your best.
Up, Buttercup. Let's go.
That's all you can do. Which brings me to my final question is there are companies like Gaper that help develop, build, and scale products, especially for these types of startups. So how important do you think that will be going forward for these companies that are all of a sudden on a major upswing?
Truthfully, I feel that it will be critical. Number one, most companies don't always have all the talent in-house, and it also is very costly. It's more efficient, I believe, in my experience, to outsource a lot of these different things where maybe you don't have the in-house talent or you don't have the bandwidth. So I absolutely believe it could be a critical piece for companies to grow.
Yeah, no, and I think you see a lot of tech startups, especially where, younger kids that have this great idea, but they don't really know what it takes to bring a product to market.
Absolutely. So I believe if people utilize the different resources that they have, they can really build some great companies.
Yes, and hopefully you can scale at a reasonable pace, but that's not always the case.
No, not at all. Not at all. And that's the other challenge too, is a lot of times people who have these ideas, they have no idea how to build a company culture, and grow and motivate. So you get stymied and stuck in the weeds a lot of times. So once again, I think if you hire a company that has had proven success in the areas that you need to grow, why not use them until you get up to speed?
Right. And it's funny, I did a podcast with a company a few months ago that they actually had a chief happiness officer for the thing you talked about was culture. And I mean, It's a cool title, but that's basically what it was about, was making sure everybody was on board and everybody felt part of the team and all that stuff.
Well, the worst thing that can kill you as a startup is turnover.
Yes. Yes.
Absolutely. Hire yourself, whatever title you want to call it. Chief happiness.
Yeah. I know. I thought it was a CHO. Never heard a CHO.
CHO.
So, well, Bethany, I want to thank you for your time today. This has been very enlightening. I wish you good luck on whatever your next venture will be. I'm assuming there will be one.
Probably. I get bored.
And have a great week.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.